So you say you want to pass your real estate exam? Well, one of the things you need to do is study lots of questions, review lots of questions, and understand them and the answers. So let's get to it. We're going to continue where we left off on, what's today? Saturday. On Wednesday. And so we're using the Real Estate Sales Exam Book, 4th edition. It's an old version. However, it is excellent, excellent, excellent. It has old questions that you may actually see in the exam that may be identical. All right. And it has why? Because it has 4 exams for you to practice. Exam 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're in exam 3 for the national questions. And that national questions applies to all states. We have math review, glossary on here, which is the vocabulary. It has a little refresher course and also tells you how to prepare for the exams, okay? And a little bit about what real estate is. So, let's put our phones on Do Not Disturb. And we will get with it with question number 31. And I'm just going to do a final check to see if there's anyone that wants to join us today. And oh my gosh, there are awesome 3 more individuals. So that requested a few hours ago. So we're going to let them in and I will send them more information later. So get your cup of coffee, whatever you like to drink in the morning. And, some people like to drink soda, whatever it might be. Oops, lower the volume. All right, here we go. So the term commingling refers to look to what? Oh, and remember to type your answer number on the chat. Hey, Mocha, and hi, Franklin. Thanks for attending. So I've got you on YouTube and Franklin's on Facebook. Awesome. So remember to type the answer and the question in the chat. Okay. I want you to participate. It's important for you to do that so that you can practice, and I'll correct you if for some reason the answer is wrong. And I'll also let you know why the answers are correct. All right. So term commingling. What is commingling? Mingle, right? Refers to, I got to show you the screen. Y'all got to wake me up. Commingling refers to looking for real estate business at community social events, or B, mixing funds held for other persons with one's own money, or C, the same office acting as buyer's broker and seller's broker for the same property, or D, one office finding a buyer for another office's listing. So what is commingling? Type your answer in the chat and we'll be back. Gonna see if my music is good today. Don't be shy. And the answer is, let's see what everybody replied. So we see, hi, Clay. Hi, Ruth. So we've got B, B, and B. Awesome. You are all winners. The answer is mixing funds held for other persons with one's own money. That's a big no-no, right? Big, big no-no. Okay, so some questions. Typing the answer into the chat. Mm-hmm. 31 feet. Okay, very good. Next question. Number 32. The Webbers own 3 pieces of property, of real estate. Okay, property, real estate. It could be residential, commercial, whatever, but in this case, they're residential. Their house, a lakeside cottage, and a tract of woodland. So they own 3 pieces, right? Their home, their primary home, a lakeside cottage, okay, a vacation home, and a tract of woodland, a piece of land. Which of the following expenses may be deducted for all 3 properties on the Weber's income tax? A, mortgage interest. B, insurance premium. C, property taxes. D, both mortgage interest and property taxes. Type your answer in the chat. Chatty chat chat. Business at community social, or B, mixing funds held for other persons with one's own money. Okay, and the answer is let's see, I've got C, C, D, D. And the answer is not D. So those of you who answered D, take another attempt at it. And would you please type the question number in addition to the answer so that we all know. C, the same office acting as buyer's broker and. Sorry about that. That was my Facebook. All right, so it's not D. I'm going to show the first question answer. All right, the answer is C. Okay, all property taxes, okay, are income tax deductible. Interest deductions are available only for one's first and second homes. The primary home, which could be our homestead, and a secondary home, let's say it's more than 30 minutes away in another state, another section, but it's like a vacation home. So only 2 residences are allowed to have property tax and interest. All 3, though, can have property taxes deducted. So very good. All right, number 33, moving right along. Hope everyone's having an awesome morning. I am. I had, a few cats waking me up this morning. Okay. The amount of tax placed on real estate that is based on the property's assessment is known as A, an ad valorem tax, B, a special assessment, C, an attachment, or D, a general lien. Okay, remember what general is, special assessment, and ad valorem tax? Those are all vocabularies. Okay, so when I say know your vocabulary, I mean it. Type your answer in the chat. Come on, y'all, type your answer in the chat. Don't be shy. This is the time to take a risk. Real estate is a risk. Actually, everything is a risk. From the day you were born, everything became a risk. So the answer is A. Ad valorem taxes means according to the value. more expensive real estate will pay a higher ad valorem tax than its neighbor. So there is a tax rate. A rate is a number that is used by the county assessors to tax property. Okay, so all of you did awesome on that. A. So Mocha, would you please type the question number in addition to the answer when typing your answer? Thank you. Hi, Lisbeth. Right, number 34. In most states, no property tax is levied on land belonging to what type of property? A, golf courses, B, senior citizen housing, C, churches, or D, shopping malls. So what types of properties are not taxed, are not levied with property tax? And they can be built basically anywhere, residential, commercial, industrial. All right, so far I have C from Lisbeth. And Clay has C. C, monsieur. Hey, don't mind my silliness, right? It keeps us going. It changes the pace. So for those of you that are on YouTube, hey, click that thumbs up if you find this beneficiary to you. Find it useful if you're learning. All right, so the answer for 34 is C. Religious and charitable institutions are among the most common properties exempt from taxation. Okay. Very good. All right, number 35. I'll have to reduce. Well, no, actually it all shows up on one line, on one page. Okay, deed restrictions that forbid future sale of the property to members of certain ethnic groups cannot be enforced because what? So deed restrictions that forbid future sale of the property to members of certain ethnic groups cannot be enforced because they are what? A, violate the law. 2, prevent free transfer of property. C, are unrelated to the construction of a building. Or D, are inconsistent with most local zoning ordinances. So deed restrictions that forbid future sales. Okay, very good. So far, I've got A. Great. Okay, I will ask another time. Mocha, please type the question number. So type 35A. Hi, L or A. Yes, the answer is 35A. Awesome. Which is any property restrictive covenants, nothing cannot be used for illegal purposes. If they are, the courts will not enforce them. Okay, protected by laws. What was the answer here? 35A. Okay, very good. So number 36. When the Franklins bought their first home, some of their costs included payment of points, establishment of an escrow account, premium for title insurance, and commission to their own buyer's agent. On that year's income tax return, they may deduct what? Okay, so whenever we purchase a home, anybody purchases a home, they get certain deductions at the end of the year with income taxes. Okay, there are certain items that are allowed that are considered expenses that can be deducted. So which one of next year's income tax or of that year's income tax return may be deducted? A, points, B, title insurance, C, commission, or D, escrowed amount. So what is escrow amount? What is title insurance? That's vocabulary again. What are points? Okay, every answer there and in the question directs you to vocabulary. Okay, so far I have 36A. So what may they deduct? Now, this is for their personal home, not an investment. Come on, y'all, type your answer. I'm going to play some music and give you a little bit of time. All right, so let's see. So far I have A. Geez, only 2 interacting, participating. The answer is 36A. Point, and what is a point? Okay, a point is 1% of the loan amount. Okay, 1%, of the loan amount, okay, is part of the purchase money mortgage. And it's for one's own home, less immediately deductible as prepaid interest. Because 1 point is like 1% interest, okay, on the loan amount, not the purchase price, but the loan amount. Title insurance, okay, that is like homeowners insurance, auto insurance, medical insurance. It ensures that the research that was done on the property and what the seller stated is true. If there are any errors, the title insurance will protect the buyer. Okay, and that is done by what? The title company. Commission? No. Okay, that's a cost of selling a property. And escrow amount, what is escrow amount? Banks will have an escrow account in order to have money to pay the taxes and the insurance, property taxes, okay, and the insurance the following year. Once someone has 20% equity or more, they can request to pay their own property taxes and insurance. But in the meantime, the the lender will pay for it. So the answer is definitely 36A. Very good. All right. So in the previous question, no, that's okay. There wasn't much to explain. Number 37. Okay. So the term walk through, when you're walking through something, refers to what? A, an appraiser's inspection of the interior of the subject property. What is a subject property? The actual house that's under contract or that's being reviewed. B, empty office buildings where the vacancy rate in the community is high. A seller's check of the premises before an open house is held. D, the buyer's final inspection of the property to check its condition. Type your answer in the chat and we shall be back. Okay, you all, there's quite a few of you on here. Type your answers. Come on, participate. You will practice and get over any kind of fear of answering the wrong, typing the wrong answer. Hi, Alexia. Thanks for welcoming us. Not welcoming, joining us. Geez. Okay, so far I've got D. Can I make it smaller? Yes, I can. There we go. That's because my I had the message still on there from the prior question. Okay, 37D is a winner. The sales contract, okay, should contain a provision. And actually, we used to have a form requesting to have a buyer's inspection. Well, a final walkthrough that can be added on the special provisions in the state of Texas, okay? And then they want to do this prior to going to closing. So 24 hours prior or just a few hours prior, so that before they go to the closing, escrow officer, which could be a title company or could be an attorney, they want to make sure everything that they purchased, that they saw when they went to view the house and chose it and wrote the contract, is still there and in the same condition. Otherwise, they don't want to sign that final closing documents. Okay. And once they do the walkthrough with the realtor, okay, I go to all of my walkthroughs. And if my clients are out of town, I'll go and I'll view it myself and videotape it, or, put them on Zoom or WhatsApp or Messenger, so that they can see that everything is still there. And that way they can then sign the documents. Yes, Ruth, I'm sorry about the fact that I still had the answer on there. I mean, the prior question, and that's why we couldn't see it. But thank you for asking. That's what we're here for, right? The saying goes, he or she who doesn't speak isn't heard, right? All right, number 38. The applicant for a mortgage may not be asked for his or her what? A, national origin. B, source of income used for repayment. C, number and ages of dependents. Or D, immigration status. What is the answer for that? Type the question and letter number on the chat, and we'll be back. Don't be shy. Our group is growing every day, every week. So for anyone who just came on, we are doing national questions that applies for all 50 states. And we are using the Texas real estate sales exam. However, the national applies to everyone. Okay, so let's see. We have several answers already. So I have a little bit of a delay at my end, so that's why it takes me a bit to see everybody's answers once I say, let's see the answers. Okay, so we have 38AACA. Lisbeth, it is not C. So take another attempt at it, because it is not C, number and ages of dependents. So which one may not be asked about his or her? See, if they have lots of children, right, it's going to impact their income, right, their debt to income ratio. So they ask for source of income used for repayments. They ask for immigration status because, of course, they're going to ask whether you have a social security number or TIN number or ITIN number or a business. So they do not ask the national origin. A, okay? 38 is A. No, immigration status, they will. They don't say, okay, directly. They'll say, do you have a social security number? Because that's what we use to run your credit. So If they don't have a social security number, they have an TIN number, then they're international, they're immigrants, right? So the answer is 38A. Very good. National origin. Okay, so you see, I like for you to be able to get them wrong so that I can explain them in more detail. Not that I want you to miss them, and I can help you. All right, number 39. And whenever you still see the answer posted on there, let me know so that I can then remove it. Okay, Samantha Mulder goes to a bank and borrows money for the purchase of her home, thereby becoming what? So Samantha is borrowing money to purchase her first home. Thereby, she's becoming what? A, the mortgagor, B, mortgagee, C, lienor, or D, lienee. Remember the OR and the EE? There's one basic difference about one of them from the others, right? Because the OR is the giver, the EE is the receiver. So the answer is not, it's not B. Okay, take another attempt at it. So far I have B, A, and the answer is 39A, mortgagor. And you're going to say, well, heck, they're receiving money, right? Well, yes, but they are the giver of the deed of trust in the state of Texas, okay, for the mortgage, okay, to pay back to the lender. So the lender is receiving the collateral, okay, the document that protects them and guarantees them that they're going to get paid, or they can foreclose when a borrower does not pay. So the mortgagee is the lender receiving the collateral. The mortgagor is the borrower giving the collateral to the lender for borrowing money, for them providing them with money. So 39 is A. Okay, so the borrower, excuse me, mortgages the property, giving a lender claim against the real estate. As one who does the mortgaging, she is the mortgagor because she is getting the mortgage. He or she is getting the mortgage. Okay. All right. Number 40. Okay. Any questions? Okay. I've got 3 screens to look at. Oh, so I also have Franklin on the Facebook business page. Okay, so y'all remember I'm doing these on YouTube Live, Facebook Live, and Facebook group, okay, the business page for AgentPrep. Okay, so you can actually type AgentPrep to ever look for it. So remember to go to my YouTube channel. Hey, help me get to 1,000. I reached 700 this week, a couple days ago, and my goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of by June 30th. So please go and subscribe to my channel. Tell all your friends that are getting their real estate license or they're already realtors, because I shall be creating additional types of videos to help you with the business. And tap that like button, okay, for those of you that are on there. There's quite a few of you on YouTube. So tap that like button if you find this useful. Okay, so the answer was 39A. All right, 40. Private land use controls are created through which of the following? A, city ordinance. So private land use, not public land. Private land use are created through which of the following? A, city ordinances. B, architecture review codes and zoning. C, county commissioners and city planning and zoning departments, or D, restrictive covenants developed by land developers. So this is talking about private land. So type your answer in the chat. Hi, Juanita. Thank you for joining us. Okay, it is not C. There already exists county and city planning zoning departments, okay, and the zoning department regulates, okay, that's one of the police powers. So it is not C. So private land. So if you go buy land and you decide to develop it, okay, you might control and restrict how that land may be used, right? You can add tighter restrictions. It's not city ordinances. Those are other rules of what, like, let's say a 10 o'clock curfew or something like that. Architectures, they do review the codes when they're drawing the design for someone, but they're not the ones that control it. So the answer here is D. Restrictive covenants developed by land developers. So a developer buys a piece of land, they subdivide it, and they say, hey, I want $500,000 homes on here, 2-story brick with 4 garages, sidewalks, and fences. Okay, those are extra restrictions that are over and above what the city or county zoning requires. So they are tighter than the city and county zoning. So 40 feet. So everyone has to meet the city or county zoning first, and then they can tighten their restrictions when they have a development. And they can create HOA, right? Homeowners associations or property owner associations. And that gets even stricter. Or they have someone to enforce it. Like I live in a condominium community and we have HOA. Our HOA, okay, pays for the water and it is gated. We have pools. So it includes the water, the maintenance of the outside property. So some people may think that HOAs, that's a lot of expense. Okay, but we got to think about it. Okay, they tightened the restrictions to maintain a beautiful area. So they have to hire gardeners. Okay, they have to pay for the water. And they have to maintain the pools if they have that, the gates, the entrances, okay, any security. So instead of each one of us buying all those things and paying for all those things independently, then it is covered by the HOA fees that we pay. All right, number 41. So anybody who came in for us just a little bit ago, we are doing national questions that applies to all 50 states. So thank you for joining us. 41. If a person dies leaving no will, what is no will? Not having a will, and no natural heirs, his or her property passes to whom? A, local charities, B, the state, C, the Internal Revenue Service, or D, the Department of Housing and Urban Development. Who has a right to receive that property when there isn't a will? So the way I had a student let me know how they remember it, it's within, without means it has no will. Within, without stands for intestate, right? Within, without, intestate. And then the other one with a will has testate. So, but when a person dies, what happens to the property? Who does it go to? So far, I have B. Awesome! Yay! Yes, 41 feet to the state, right? And that is called what? Who remembers the definition word for that when it goes to the state? If you're answering the chat, what is the definition word for what that means? Person dies leaving no will and it goes to the state. It's cheat. Awesome. Way to go, Miss Beth. Very good. So for anyone that is on Facebook or one of the other media, remember to go to StreamYard.com. Oops. Go to StreamYard.com/Facebook and give StreamYard permission to post your name on StreamYard. Okay, Facebook doesn't like to share anyone's name unless they're given permission. So StreamYard has to get permission from Facebook to post a name. So go to that link that I just posted on there. It's really quick. So there's a person that's on Facebook. Let me see who it is. And your name shows up as Facebook. This right here. It might be Juanita. So go to that link and give StreamYard permission. It's really quick, okay? You just go to that website and you click yes, and you'll be able to see your name here like Clay, okay, or Ruth, or Lisbeth. Yes, that's me, okay? So that way you won't see it just like this, okay? Facebook user. We want to know who you are. Now, I know you're Juanita because I've got all Facebooks and YouTube open on different screens, okay? So that's why I know. But someone else that is on YouTube or on the Facebook page, business page, may not see your name. Awesome. Okay. So it was as cheap. Very good. Okay, number 42. There we go. Y'all are doing awesome today. All right, 42. The acronym APR stands for what? APR. I also stress, know your acronym. A, annual percentage rate. B, appraisal procedure regulations. C, associate property reviewer. Or D, average purchase ratio. Ratio. my Spanish Mexican accent comes out. So what is APR? Okay, again, this is definitions, right? And all of you, there are free uh, glossaries online that you don't have to pay for. Search for old study guides, old books. A few of the state questions in a particular state may be updated, right? Because laws get updated every couple of years, sometimes more often or longer, and new documents are provided. However, older resources, you can find them for free or buy them really inexpensive, and sometimes the answers will be identical on the exam. Now, don't quote me. They're not identical from new books and things like that. And they'll also end up posting questions that you may have never seen or thought you never studied. Well, we don't remember everything. Okay, the answer, yes, is annual percentage rate, APR. And what is APR? Is that the interest rate that is being charged on the mortgage? Or is it a little bit different? Okay, so and this goes along with Regulation Z, okay, which requires that borrowers be notified of their annual percentage rate, which takes into account not only the simple interest rate. So let's say your loan today is 5.25. Well, that is the interest rate for the actual loan amount. However, the APR takes into account not only that, but also other financial costs, such as points of purchasing the property. So, and therefore, those costs are added to the total mortgage and then amortized and find out what the new interest rate is. And that is called the annual percentage rate. Yes, it is different. The APR route is different than the APR. So regular interest rates now have gone up from 2.5 to 5.5. I mean, not ASAP. They've been doing it like in a month at a time or weeks at a time. I get a mortgage lender, Lance Bryce, that sends a recorded video or a recorded message every week and gives me an update, not just to me, okay, to a lot of realtors, and lets us know what's happening in the stock market, what's happening in other countries that impact the interest rate. And our interest rates have gone up. Therefore, the number of buyers purchasing is probably going to go down a little bit. And now we're going to start having foreclosures for all the people that weren't able to pay their mortgage during COVID. They now have to pay that and any back payment or make a larger payment because they were allowed to make a modified payment during COVID. Well, a lot of those individuals, unfortunately, are going to lose their home. And so we're going to have a lot of what are called pre-foreclosures and foreclosures. And that is an opportunity for investors, okay, to buy those properties and resell it. So number 43, if a for sale fails to bring enough to pay off a lien on a 16-unit apartment building, the lender may seek a what? A, release deed, B, promissory note, C, deficiency judgment, or D, right of redemption. Okay, again, vocabulary, vocabulary, vocabulary. So you should always be studying vocabulary first and understand them and then do the question. So type your answer in the chatty chat. So far we have 43 C, C. Oui, monsieur. That's from Tyler Perry, one of the movies. I should watch all his movies. All right, anybody else? And yes, the answer is C. So Clay and Ruth are correct. The lender who does not receive full payment, which is going to start happening now, after foreclosure of a loan on this type of property, may seek a deficiency judgment against the borrower. So the borrower was deficient, okay, when the property was sold for a lower price during a foreclosure. Therefore, this is a commercial property. They're required to have a deficiency judgment. Now, during this period of COVID and back in 2000, starting in 2006 and 7, where the market crashed and a lot of people started losing their homes, the government brought up a protection mortgage relief act of 2007 in order to protect primary owners not to have to pay a deficiency judgment. And so this might happen again, and that ended in 2012 because that mortgage deficiency, that relief act kept being extended because then the foreclosures happened in other states. A lot of the foreclosures and major losses started happening in the West Coast, Oregon, California, Washington, Florida, Illinois, New York, in states where properties really increased. And so they protected homeowners, okay, to not have to pay. They were forgiven for any amount that the home did not sell for to cover the whole loan. And on commercial properties, no, that deficient judgment has to be paid. So 43, back to work. Go. See you on the next. All right, Ruth. Awesome. So 43. Didn't I touch anything yet? No. See, a deficiency judgment. So Ruth said she was headed to work. All right, number 44. I'm changing the resolution. Okay, moving right along. Let me move this a little bit. All right. Anna Jameson rents a small building for her boutique. In addition to rent, she also pays property taxes, utility bills, and insurance on the property. She must have what kind of a commercial lease? A, net lease, B, percentage lease, C, variable lease, or D, ground lease. So not only are they paying rent, but she's also paying property taxes, utility bills, and insurance. So there are different types of leases, right? Net lease, percentage lease, variable lease, and ground lease. So which one applies to Anna Jameson? Have your answer in the chat. Okay, it is not B. It is not a percentage of the rent. A percentage of the rent would be a base rent plus a percentage of sales. So as the business increases, then their rent is going to increase based on a percentage of whatever additional sales income they are making. But when they're paying property taxes, utility bills, and insurance, that is not based on a percentage. That is called a net lease. Hi, Rosaura. Thanks for joining us. So yes, that is a net lease. There's also triple net lease. Okay, and triple net lease will include property taxes, utility bills, maintenance, insurance. It'll include everything. The owner doesn't want to pay for anything. It's all inclusive. Okay, 45. This will be the last question for national. And then we'll move on to Texas state questions. So anyone that is here from another state other than Texas, you can still watch and listen and understand how the questions may be asked, okay, even in your state, that the questions will apply to Texas only. All right, 45. One example of a periodic estate. Periodic, right? It could be a monthly period, weekly period, yearly period, daily period, periodic estate. So what is one example? A month-to-month tenancy, B, an estate at will, C, a net lease, or D, a sublet. Well, you know it's not going to be a net lease because we just did the prior question. And this will happen on the exam. A later question will help you know whether you missed a prior question or not. So always pay attention to that. If you have doubt on a question, click it for review. Oh, and also remember when you're at the exam office, building, room, skip the first 5 questions of each exam. I've learned from research that the first 5 questions are the hardest, and they can trick you, and they can scare you, make you nervous, and get you to be anxious. And also skip the math. Most people don't like math. Click those for review to come back later and answer all the easy ones. Anyone that takes you more than 15, 30 seconds, click it for review and come back to it later. Answer all the easy ones first. And you will be surprised at how much better you will feel. So number 45 is A. All of you are a winner. 45A, a month-to-month tenancy. Because we already did a net lease and a sublet, right? What is a sublet? So if somebody is renting an apartment or a building and they have to leave, they find somebody else to rent it, but they are still responsible for the lease, right? And a stated will means they'll have possession of the property, but either one may terminate at any time. So estate is interest in property, not necessarily ownership. It is interest in property. There's life estate, lease estate, estate at will, all kinds of estates. So the answer is 45A, a month-to-month tenancy. Very good. All right. Well, congratulations on finishing the national portion of the exam. Review. Any questions before we go to the state? So you may take a little break and get ready for Texas state questions. Okay, I'll give you an opportunity to go to get a glass of water, get up. And normally I advise you to take a break every 20 minutes. Our mind remembers the first and last portion of any study period. Okay, so let's just say, you explain that lease. Okay. So the gross amount is their monthly rent. That is considered their gross amount. So a net lease is including other expenses. Well, I might have run up this. I'll find a better speaker. I might be here. So try to break the world down. Okay, can you get better there? Alexa, can you hear me better? Can you guys in there? So this if there's anything that you can't see or can't hear, please always let me know. I'll adjust it. Okay. So a net lease includes anything over and above the plain monthly gross lease. Okay, so if a commercial property pays for just rent, and from that rent, monthly rent, the owner is going to pay for the property taxes, all the utility bills, and the property insurance, maintenance, anything like that. Then it is just called a monthly rent. It is not a net lease. Okay, so the net lease. The volume to the maximum. Just start everything and let's see here. All right, let me see. Okay, it shows that my audio is working. Okay, that my speaker is working. Now I can hear you. Okay, So now you can hear me. All right. So I increase it and it reduces it because I get too loud. Okay, very good. We took care of that issue. Okay, so as I was saying, a net lease is going to be extra from the monthly expense, from the monthly rent. The owner doesn't want to have to be responsible for paying the utilities because utilities vary, right? So if they abuse the utility and they leave the light on all the time or forget to turn them off, or the AC really low temperature or high in the winter, then the bill is going to increase for the owner. So when the owner wants a net amount of money receiving, okay, that means gross rent minus all the expenses, the seller gets a net amount. So in this case, the seller is going to get the rent, okay, plus any expenses. They don't want to have to pay. So their net is going to be their full amount, okay? And so the tenant is going to pay for all the other expenses. The seller doesn't have to take the, let's say, $400 a month or $1,000 a month, then pay utilities, property taxes, and insurance. Then their profit reduces. Okay, so a net lease is they receive the net amount after the the tenant is paying for everything. Well, actually, the rent that they receive, okay, is considered, the gross is considered the net for them, because the tenant is going to pay for all the expenses, all the bills, all the maintenance. Seller takes the $1,000 and they have to pay nothing else except for not capital gain, but income, okay, investment income to property, to income tax. So does that help you understand the net lease? So that means the seller is receiving whatever they receive, it is net. Okay, they don't have to pay any expenses. Expenses are being paid by the tenant. Because you'd be amazed at how some individuals, some tenants, okay, will abuse the electricity, the air condition, and, abuse the grounds, okay? They won't maintain them. So then the seller, the owner, the landlord gives the responsibility to the tenant. All right. So let's move on to Texas State. And we are using, I'll show you right now, the book. Okay, this is the book that I'm using. This is a current book. And this book actually is available for every single state. The other book that I use is only for Texas state questions. Okay, and we already did all those. And why do we go through it quicker? Because we have less state questions than we do national questions. Okay, this book also has tests. They call them tests instead of exams, and for both national and state, Texas state. They don't have vocabulary, but they have the exam, the review, and then they also have at the end an exam that includes both national and Texas questions. All right. So again, so anyone that just came in, we did national questions, the first part of the class, and now we are starting Texas state questions. So you are welcome to state. If this is the first time to my channel, please go to YouTube. Please on YouTube, tap the subscribe button, click that little bell so that you're the first to get notified every time I go live or I upload a video. And also tap that thumbs up, okay, and let me know and support that you like this video if it's benefiting you. whatever you do, hey, if you can't say something nice, don't say anything. So don't use a thumbs up. Don't put a thumbs down, but everybody has a right to do it. So if you're on YouTube, hey, go ahead and click the thumbs up. There's several of you on there, and I only have 2 thumbs up. All right, ready. So we're going to state questions, and we're going to, what page are we going? Hold on, let me look and see at what page we are at. We're at question 14, 14, I believe. No, actually, we're starting with 1415 on page 214. Okay, there we go. Let's close the notes. Oh no, what did I do? Okay, number 15. Okay, I'm the one that's confused here. Dang it. All right, 15. Brokers are required to maintain office policies and procedures to ensure that, among other things, sponsored sales agents keep current on law changes and their continuing education requirements. Which of the following is not a goal served by policy and procedure manuals? A, advertising compliance. B, proper record maintenance. C, optimized web presence for marketing listings. Or D, ensuring practicing licensees have an active license. So type your answer in the chat. So brokers are required to maintain office policies and procedures to ensure that, among other things, sponsored sales agents keep current on law changes and their continuing education requirement. Here in Texas, we have 18 hours every 2 years. For those that begin, there's a 90-hour requirement plus 18. So you have SAE and MAE. So the SAE, sales agent education, and those are the 90 hours. And then mandatory agent education, or MCE, mandatory continuing education, and that has gone up to 18 hours every 2 years, including Legal Update 1 and Legal Update 2, each one of those being 4 hours. So which one is not a goal served by policy and procedure manuals? So far I have answer C, and that is correct. Optimized web presence for marketing listings. So while a valuable goal, web presence strategies fall outside of the central purposes of the office policy and procedures, which are compliance, competence, proper compensation, and ethical practice. So that is office and policies and procedures, which we all receive whatever agency we're with. Okay, so 14. What the heck happened here? I'm typing away in 1415C. Okay, so we're currently on state questions, test number 14, and the answer is 1415C. So what is not required in policy and procedures? Optimize web presence for marketing listings. Number 16. In the course of brokerage practice, licensees share or split fees. Which of the following compensation scenarios would constitute a license law violation? A, sharing or rebating a commission with another sales agent with prior broker and principal approval. B, paying a one-time referral fee to an unlicensed party who is not practicing real estate. C, splitting a commission with an unlicensed party who is performing licensed activities. Or D, sharing or splitting a commission with a sponsored broker. Type your answer in the chat. All right, so let's see what we have. We've got C, and the answer is C. Splitting a commission with an unlicensed party who is performing licensed activities, right? We cannot do that. We only share commission with licensed individuals, licensed realtors, licensed attorneys, anyone that is licensed, but it goes through the broker, right? Okay. Number 17. Test number 14-17. As a rule, rebates, commissions, and service provider fees in real estate transaction must be transparent. That means everybody can understand what they are. In that context, which of the following scenarios is in compliance with license law? A, without the buyer's consent, a service provider rendering services to the buyer pays the seller's representative a commission for the referral. B, a licensee discloses and obtains consent from the seller's client to receive a fee from a property inspector. C, a licensee accepts a service provider fee that is contingent on the client purchasing the provider's services. Or D, a licensee who represents the buyer enters a contract with the service provider to perform services for the buyer on behalf of the provider. So in this context, as a rule, rebates, commission, service provider fees in real estate must be transparent. So which of the following scenarios is in compliance with license law? So one of them is accurate. Type your answer in the chat. Okay. Oh, never mind. I was going to respond to a previous question. So far, we have an answer of B. It's a challenging one, huh? A little bit. The answer is B. Oh, I hope I typed it correct. Yes. So licensees discloses and obtains consent from her seller client to receive a fee from a property inspector. So the licensee who discloses and obtains consent can receive that. We have to disclose. We have forms at our company, at our brokerage, that we have business partners, okay? And so if we get a referral fee or some type of payment, we have to disclose that to our clients. So if a licensee represents a principal, he or she cannot perform services for a third party who is compensated by the principal. Generally, there must be transparency and openness. For further elaboration, you can go to a Texas S 535.148. Lots of numbers. All right, number 18. Which of the following is true regarding referrals? A, the party receiving the referral must be licensed. B, referring parties need not be licensed under any condition. C, the referring party must be licensed regardless of compensation expectations. Or D, the referring party must be licensed if expecting compensation for the referral. Type your answer in the chat. So here you can understand how we also make additional money by referring clients to other realtors. I'm going to heat my coffee. Okay, hope you type your answer in the chat. What do we have? Nobody took a risk. Okay, so far I have 1418A. So which of the following is true? Sometimes there's more than one correct answer. However, we must select the best. So the correct answer here is D. The referring party must be licensed if expecting compensation for the referral. Okay. A does not say that they're going to be being compensated. So referring a prospective buyer, seller, landlord, or tenant to another person in connection with a proposed real estate transaction is an act requiring the person making the referral to be licensed. So we can only do referrals to licensed individuals if we expect compensation. Okay. So we can get referrals and not pay them. Okay. From other individuals, other clients, other realtors. But if the referral is made with the expectation of receiving valuable consideration, the receiving party must be licensed. Now, I typically let you know that be careful with answers that have must in it, but on here, 3 of them have must. 1 of them doesn't, okay? B, of course, is wrong. It says referring parties need not be licensed under any condition. Wrong. The receiving party, the party receiving the referral must be licensed. Well, it depends on who the referral is going to, right? And whether they're making money from it or not. The C says the referring party must be licensed regardless of compensation expectation. So no, so that kind of goes along with A. If they're not getting compensated, they don't have to be licensed. However, when the party is receiving a referral and expects compensation for that referral, yes, that must be licensed. Okay. And so we can get referrals from other states, from other countries, and we pay a referral as long as it's coming from another licensed individual in their state. So referrals are not limited to our area or to our city or to our state. That's why it's important that we get to know realtors from other regions. So that was question number 18. Okay, make sure I type the right answer. My mind is going in different directions. Okay, so yes, yes, it seemed like it, Clay. However, it doesn't mean regardless of compensation expectation. Okay, so it must be that receiving money must be licensed realtor. Not receiving money doesn't really matter. It's just a word of mouth referral. So the answer is 14D, 1418D. All right, number 19. Very good, Clay. Glad you understand. So which of the following would be categorized as an unlicensed activity not requiring a license? Okay, so A, developing a mailing campaign for a new licensee. B, responding to phone inquiries regarding the condition of an open house listing. C, confirming a listing address on the phone. D, assimilating recently sold properties into a price strategy for a builder. So keep in mind, who will they be talking about? Assistants that aren't licensed, administrators that aren't licensed. So which of the following is categorized as an assistant or an administrator that is not required to be licensed in order to provide certain information? So unlicensed individuals can share very, very limited information with a prospect, with a client, with a principal. Therefore, a lot of assistants or administrative assistants end up getting licensed. Okay, so far I have C. Anyone else? I guess not. Oh, here comes another one. So Clay and Lisbeth say C. And yes, the answer is C. Confirming a listing address on the phone, you're not discussing any detail. Anyone can give you the address to a property, or it can be found online. That's public information accessible to everybody. Any detail about the property, the owner, the pricing, can't provide that information if unlicensed. Very good. Number 20. Which of the following would not be classified as an unlicensed activity? Whereas which of the following would be positively be defined as a licensed activity? So which one is not classified as unlicensed activity? So they are doing an activity that requires a license, okay? A, supervising a new licensee. B, inputting data on a new listing into MLS. C, scheduling and confirming showing appointments. D, providing mortgage interest rates of area banks to a consumer. So which one is not classified as unlicensed activity? So it means one of them is required positively to be licensed. So what can a licensee or a licensed person be able to do that is required? So they must be licensed in order to do it. So far, I have Clay says A. So let's see what others input. More input. I need more input. There was a sci-fi movie that I used to see, Lost in Space, and the robot would say more input. That's a very confusing question. Yes, it can be, Clay. Okay, because of the way they're wording it. So it says there's one item, one answer that is not classified as unlicensed activity. So in other words, it means that one of the following is definitely an activity that must be licensed. Okay. So they're using kind of a two negative, not be classified as unlicensed, not licensed activity. So which one is a must that a licensed person can do? The others can be done by an unlicensed person. The answer here is A, supervising a new licensee. In order to supervise any licensed individuals, okay, it comes from a broker or an assisted broker, and they have to be licensed. Now, an assistant can input data on new listing into MLS, okay, and that doesn't require, not definitely required license activity. Confirming showing appointments, okay, no, a lot of apps do that now. And so an assistant can, or the office person can answer that. And then providing mortgage interest rates, so that has nothing to do with activities or conditions of the home. It has to do with mortgage rates that are public to everyone. That can be provided, or they say, hey, go talk to a lender. Okay. However, the one that is a must that has to be licensed is supervising a new licensee. Supervising any licensee, not just new licensees, but normally who needs the supervision? New licensees, right? Or need more supervision. Because even when we have a lot of experience, sometimes we encounter situations that we have no experience with. And so then we talk to our broker or an assistant broker or a top producing realtor. However, we are advised to always go to the broker because they are responsible for us. All right, number 21. Which of the following statements is true regarding the seller's disclosure of property condition document? So whenever a seller is going to sell their home, right, there's a seller's disclosure to let everybody know what's the condition of the home without having a home inspection. A, it is to be completed and given to a buyer at the seller's option and discretion. B, it must be completed on or before the effective date of a binding purchase agreement. C, oh, it doesn't, you can't see all the answers. Licensees and firms may design their own form as there is no promulgated or suggested form provided by TREC. Or D, if a seller is not aware of a particular property condition item, he or she must have such item inspected for workability. So which of the following statements, which of those statements is true statement about the seller's disclosures form? When does it get completed? When does it get delivered to the buyer? And are they required to have an inspection in order to do it? Well, they should know information about their property, right? Because they've been living in it. If it's somebody inherited it, they still need to be aware of it and have to fill a seller's disclosure. There are certain conditions and individuals that do not require one. And now that's banks, foreclosures, share of sales, trustees, okay? Those individuals are exempt. An executor, an administrator assigned by the court, all those didn't live in the home, okay? They are not required. Okay, so far I have 421B, B, and yes, that is correct. The answer is B. It must be completed on or before the effective date of a binding purchase agreement. Okay. So, sometimes there are exceptions. Sometimes because what the buyer agent wants to do is have access to the seller's disclosures form of property condition prior to submitting an offer so that the buyer has more knowledge of it. However, if for some reason the seller doesn't have it yet, the contract will specify that the seller's disclosure has not delivered. They have 3 days or 5 days to deliver it. So it still can be completed right after a purchase agreement. However, within a deadline, time is of the essence. And if they don't, the buyer can terminate and get their earnest money back. They will not get their option fee, but they will get their earnest money. Because the option fee, of course, is to have the right to review inspections, do their due diligence, and so forth. Okay? During that time, the seller is just waiting, and it's considered what type of contract? Unilateral contract, right? Just the buyer is performing until the specified date on the contract of when the option ends, and a decision must be made before 5 o'clock of the option date. Number 22. Oops, a little too much. Okay, there we go. Some exceptions exist to the rules for completing the seller's property disclosure report. Which of the following is not, okay, not such an exception? So there are exceptions, but one of them is not an exception. So A, a father transfers the property to his daughter. B, the property is used for residential purposes. C, the property is new and has not been owned before. D, the transaction is a foreclosure sale. So I mentioned some of them that would be exempt, but I didn't mention one of them that's on here. So type your answer in the chat. And hey, it's awesome. For those of you that are participating, this is great. This is what the sessions are for. Not just for participation, okay, but to help you prepare and understand questions and answers for the exam. Okay, so far I have C and D. It is not D. So which one is not such an exception? Well, yes. Hi, Alexia. So which one will not be exempt from completing a seller's property condition? The answer is B. The property is being used for residential purposes. So a person ends up living in the property. So that one is not exempt because they're living there. Okay. So if a father transfers the property to his daughter, well, if she's out of state or something like that, she doesn't know the condition for it, and it's just being conveyed to the daughter. It's not being sold to someone else. C, the property is new and has not been owned before. That one is an exception because it's never been occupied. D, the transaction is a foreclosure sale. Yes, of course, it's being sold at the court steps, okay, by an officer or a foreclosure representative. So they are exempt, okay? The daughter, because it just conveying from the father, okay? The property is never been lived in. It's a new construction, and the foreclosure sale, okay? Those three are exempt. So if you're going to live in it, you're more than likely the owner, right? Now, if it's a tenant, the owner still knows about their property, so they have to complete it. They are not exempt. Okay, number 23. Oops. A little too much. There we go. Yes, Alexa, you know what? I've made that mistake. Alexa says I read it wrong. Yeah, when they have that not or on or or true or false, it makes it sometimes confusing. I have gotten them wrong sometimes during class. So don't feel bad. I've had students correct me, which I want you all to be alert and make sure you correct me if for some reason I type or say the wrong thing. All right. 23. A seller delivers the seller's property condition disclosure to the buyer after the deadline. What is the consequence? A, the licensee has violated license law. Well, is it the licensee or was it the seller? B, the seller's contract is nullified. C, the buyer may rescind the contract within 7 days following receipt of the disclosures. Or D, the buyer can compel the seller to repair any undisclosed defects. So one of the statements is true. If the seller doesn't deliver it, remember I said time is of the essence. There is a number on the contract of how many days they have to deliver it. So far I have 1423C. Oh, and while you all are answering, another thing that I've learned from some of these authors that prepare these books is that if for some reason you do not know the answer at all, look at the prior 2 or 3 questions and see what answer is most common. Let's see, it's CCC or CBC. Choose the most common answer from prior questions or a question after. More than likely, it'll be that one. So that is a big guess because sometimes they go in sequence of what they select, the test preparers. So yes, the answer is 23C. The buyer may rescind the contract within 7 days following receipt of the disclosure. Right after the disclosure is received, the buyer has 7 days. And that's where I said if the seller hasn't completed it before they get a contract, then they still have time to complete it and deliver it. But then that could delay the closing because the buyer has 7 days after it's received. So it's our job as a listing agent representing the seller, the principal, the owner, to make sure that they get that seller's disclosure completed and we upload it to the MLS as important documents that are available. The buyer agent can download it, share it with their client, and provide it when they deliver the contract and any other pertinent documents like the pre-approval letter and third-party financing or whatever type of financing they have. Very good. Number 24. A homeowner resides in a new subdivision managed by a homeowners association. What obligation, if any, does this fact create whenever the owner decides to sell? Oh, let me minimize this. Oh, that didn't work. Let's see here. I'm trying to adjust. I'm not trying, attempting to adjust. Okay, here we go. So a homeowner resides in a new subdivision managed by an HOA, Homeowners Association. What obligation, if any, does this fact create whenever the owner decides to sell? A, the owner must advise any buyer of the managing entity and associated fees prior to closing. B, the owner must advise the buyer of all homeowner obligations or face a 30-day exposure to contract rescission. C, the licensee must disclose the association's existence or face disciplinary action. Or D, the owner must disclose the existence of the association and all obligations accompanying membership. Whew, that was a long one. So think about, I mentioned something about requirement in an association earlier. So let's see, what answers do we have? 1424D. Keep it coming. All right, well, let's see. Only one answer. Okay, we got D, Clay and Lisbeth. And yes, you seem to be the two mostly participating. So the answer is D. The owner must disclose the existence of the association and all obligations accompanying membership, because the HOA has to provide a certificate of sale, okay, that gets delivered to the buyer. It gets delivered to the title company and to the buyer. So the answer is D. Very good. Number 25. In addition to obligations regarding property condition and home ownership association, if a selling homeowner resides on a property but abutting tidal water, he or she must do what? A, disclose the mean, high, and low tide levels in a letter signed by all principals. B, disclose the changeability of the property's boundaries owing to erosion. C, disclose the boundary line out into the water since the waterway is navigable. Or D, provide a history of all landfills occurring over the prior 10 years. Landfills? Type your answer in the chat. Hey, I've got some real troopers here today. We have a large class. So let me know who is taking their exam this month. I have several other students. In fact, I had one that told us on Wednesday that they were going to take it Friday. And Matilda, and she passed. Matilda passed her exam on Friday. I posted it on the Facebook group and business page. All right, so far I have B. Anyone else? And B, that's it. I want to take it shortly. Oh, great. Take it. If it's the first time you take it, go ahead and do it. Because if for some, you may be surprised and pass. However, if you don't, do not be so hard on yourself. Just let it go, study some more, and take it again as soon as possible. The answer is B. This one's a little challenging, okay? However, disclose the changeability of a property's boundaries owing to erosion. Why? Because it's next to a property abutting, okay, next to the tidal waves. So abutting is you're next to it, right? And therefore it could change and remove some of the land due to erosion on the 23rd. Awesome, Alexia. That's next week. Very good. That's in 9 days. And so it is disclose the changeability of the property's boundaries owing to erosion. Now, disclose the mean, high, and low tide levels in a letter signed. No. Disclose the boundary line out into the water. No, there's regulation. There's rules that already specify that up to what point that the boundary line exists. And D, provide a history of all landfills occurring over the prior 10 years. No, that is public information that can be researched. So buyer has to also do their due diligence, okay? Not just sellers provide information. It's both parties have to perform, and that's why they have an option period in order to do their own investigation. Okay, I'm trying to remember what question did we start with today? We started with 15. Okay, so we've done 16 questions. Okay, so this, all right. So now this test 15 has to do with contracts. So this is very, very specific to the state of Texas, right? Some of the other questions may be similar in other states. However, contracts, every state has their own legal contract that are promulgated by the Real Estate Commission. All right, number 15.1. Which of the following is true regarding Texas promulgated contracts? And what are promulgated contracts? Contracts that are developed by the 13-party broker attorney committee, right? So there are 6 attorneys, 6 brokers, and 1 public person, 1 civilian. So which of the following is true regarding Texas promulgated contracts? A, they are recommended by the Texas Bar at the discretion of member attorneys. B, they must be completed with the assistance or approval of a licensed attorney. C, they replace contracts previously prepared by principals attorneys. D, they must be used for sale and lease transactions with some exceptions. So again, remember, using the word must, sometimes, answers that have a must means that might be one of the answers. Sometimes if all of them have must, you don't have choice. So in this case, one of the answers that has the word must is the correct answer. So it's not A or C. All right, so far I have D. Anyone else? Come on, type your answer. So we are on test number 15, dealing with contracts, Texas contracts. So anybody who just came on, we are reviewing Texas state questions. We did national questions, the first part of the exam, and it took us about an hour to finish the national. So far I have D and D. And yes, the answer is D. They must be used for sale and lease transactions with some exceptions. Sometimes an attorney, a real estate attorney, will be hired by the seller or the buyer, and they use their contracts, or they can modify a contract. We as realtors, as brokers, cannot act as attorneys and modify the contracts. We only complete answers from, blanks from answers we get from our clients, our principal. Number 2, licensees may not engage in the unauthorized practice of law. What did I just say, right? Which of the following would constitute such a violation? A, insisting that due to the legal nature of property transactions, the buyer should obtain competent legal counsel. B, explaining the purpose of a building permit. C, expressing an opinion regarding the validity of a seller's title. Or D, giving a buyer prospect a copy of the subdivision's covenants and restrictions. So which one of the following would constitute? Which one of the following would violate? Okay. Would we be violating? Clay, if the testing company is Pearson VUE, yes, Pearson VUE has a good testing material. However, you're in Texas, so I have an old book that I've been sharing with students if they provide me answer a form, and you will automatically be able to download a PDF of that book. It's the book that Texas Real Estate Sales Exam, 4th edition. That one you can end up answering. A few of the outdated of the state questions are outdated, but it's an awesome book. Okay, you have the book. Study that book. I tell you what, some of the students that all they did was study that it has vocabulary, it has national. The first 80 are national questions, the last 30 are state, even though you have more than that now on the exam. It is excellent. Some of them studied that after studying a lot of other material, and they even let me know that some of the answers were identical. Why? It's an older book from 2006. So that's why I said you can find a lot of free books online that are old. You can pay for them on Amazon or eBay or other book organizations. However, you will sometimes find them already uploaded by someone for free. Okay, we're on number 2, right? And yes, the answer here is C. Expressing an opinion regarding the validity of a seller's title, right? Attorneys review and do the research for the title of the property. That's why they issue title policy, title insurance, to protect the buyer about any information and the history on the property. And so by us expressing an opinion on the validity of a seller's title, that's required to be done by an attorney. That's a legal document. Therefore, we would be violating and we could be suspended. So that was 15.2C, right? Yes. You're welcome, Clay. Yes, and I'm also in San Antonio. So it was recommended to be by students back in 2014 when I started doing this class. I posted something on my Facebook page asking support to help grow my channel. And I wrote a long story and gave thanks to a lot of individuals because of how I've grown with the tutoring. And so, what was I getting to? So anyway, I posted that in my personal profile page, while Lillie Handy Dominguez. So 52C, that is correct. Okay. All right. Number 53. My door is open, so you so that my cats can go in and out. So you may be hearing ambulance noises. All right. Number 15 point. What the heck? What question were we on? That was, okay, we're on number 3. All right, 15.3. The practice of completing sales contracts is a tightly regulated activity since so much is at stake for consumers. So the practice of completing sales contracts is a tightly regulated activity since so much is at stake for consumers, right? Yes, it's a very personal and sometimes stressful activity, emotional, and that we are helping individuals. In that context, which of the following is not, okay, which one is a false answer, is wrong, an acceptable practice? You're very welcome, Clay. So Clay says, it's very helpful. Thanks for the channel and education. You're very welcome. I love doing it, and I'm going close to 9 years at the end of this year. A, filling in the blanks to contract form in the middle of negotiations. B, adding a statement of fact desired by both principals. C, adding another blank in a contract clause. D, informing a buyer client that an encumbrance on seller's title may be a big problem for the lender. So which one is not an acceptable practice? So far, I have C. Anyone else? And thank you, Clay, for participating. Come on, type your answer in the chat. And remember that all these sessions, all these classes are recorded. So you can always go back and watch any of them. This one will be on a playlist in YouTube called Q&A for National and Texas. And it's also on each of the Facebook, on the private Facebook group and the Facebook page for AgentPrep. All right, so let's see, what answers do I have so far? So I have C, C, and yes, the answer is C. Adding another blank in a contract, right? We cannot modify a contract. We cannot strike out or add other boxes. We use whatever boxes are there. So we actually fill in the blanks to a contract form in the middle of negotiations, right? Because we're doing it on the instructions of our client. We add a statement of fact described by both parties. We can do that in the special provision, section 13, or is it section 11? And informing a buyer client that an encumbrance on seller's title may be a big problem for the lender. Okay, we're not giving an opinion of a fact. We're just stating, okay, a material fact. All right, so the answer is C. Number 14. Which of the following is a violation of license law as they relate to contracts? A, using a committee form under certain circumstances. B, entering language onto a contract clause blank that defines what a tenant can or cannot do if the landlord does not make a timely security improvement. C, refusing to load language from promulgated contract contract A into promulgated contract B for the sake of efficiency. So refusing to load language from promulgated A into promulgated B for the sake of efficiency. D, advising a buyer that a contract is legally binding. So which of the following is a violation of license laws as related to contracts? Type your answer in the chat. So far, I've got B. Anyone else? Gosh, you all, there's quite a few on you here. Come on, participate, take action. Let me help you understand the question and the answer. So the answer is, I'm waiting to see if anybody else, going once, going twice, gone. The answer is B. So entering language onto a contract clause blank that defines what a tenant can or cannot do if the landlord does not make a timely security improvement. No, that will already be stated in the lease application or lease agreement, okay, by the owner. We cannot enter any language onto a contract clause blank, okay? It has to be instructed to us by an owner. So we may not define the rights of a principal in a contract, okay? We go by the instructions of the principal, such as what a tenant can do given a landlord default. Committee forms, so there are Texas landlord and tenant and landlord acts, and those, we advise them to review those tenant laws for the owner and the tenant, and they can see what the ramifications are if somebody defaults. So be used, so those forms, and then let's see, such as what a tenant can do given a landlord default. Committee forms may be used with commission permission. So those are, you know, approved by TREC. That's the commission, Texas Real Estate Commission in Texas. Advising clients that contracts are legally binding is a required duty, not an option. Okay, so the answer was 14B. Number 15. Oops. I'm adjusting the resolution so that we get it all on one page. Nope, that's not going to work. Come on, cursor, move. Gosh, my computer's not responding fast enough. So 15.5, there we go. During the course of a transaction, let me remove the answer. During the course of a transaction, the licensee must advise clients of various circumstances where legal counsel should be consulted. In which of the following that was not a good idea. So in which of the following scenarios should the licensee recommend that the buyer obtain legal counsel? So during the course of a transaction, the licensee must advise clients of various circumstances where legal counsel should be consulted. Okay, that is one of our fiduciary duties. So in which of the following scenarios should the licensee recommend that a buyer can obtain legal counsel? A, the licensee is selling her own property and has just hired an attorney to represent her. B, a transaction involving several promulgated contracts. C, a contract for deed transaction involving several non-standard contingencies. Or D, a buyer is about to place an offer on a property where the previous residence has AIDS. Remember, there's also certain deaths that we cannot disclose, right? So there are times when we don't have the exact answer, or the owner, the landlord, the client, the principal, the buyer needs to get legal advice. And we can refer them. They can send the contracts. They can take the contracts to any attorney. They ever ask you, can I take my contracts to any attorney? Yes, please do. Because I do not have answers for legal questions. I cannot give my opinion, our opinion. So what is the answer? So far, I have 15C, 15.5C. Lisbeth said, yes, you and Clay are the ones that are participating. So I'll wait for your answer. No. Okay. The answer is 15.5C, a contract for deed transactions involving several non-standard contingencies. So if there are contingencies that the buyer is requiring or the seller is countering, then we want to advise our clients to go see legal counsel to get advice on what to do with those conditions, those contingencies, as to whether a buyer will buy or a seller will sell. So the answer was 15.5C. Oops. Come on. I see Lisbeth on my screen. There we go. Now it's responding. So 15.5C, a contract for deed transaction involving several non-standard contingencies, is the time where we refer the principal to the counsel, to legal counsel, in this case, the buyer. Okay. All right. So that was the last question. There's a section in this book that has, matching a category with answers. It's a little bit more challenging to do it. So I will probably skip that, although we already did 15 questions today. So next session, we are starting with test number 16. If for some reason you have the book. This book I cannot share with you. It is new or published at the end of 2020. And so, we have to respect the copyright and not share copies and refer someone to purchasing the book. Okay, any questions before we call it a day? Remember, when you go to the exam, skip the first 5 questions and the math, click them for review, go through all the other questions that are easier for you to answer. Okay, so answer always all the easy questions first so that you won't get nervous and anxious. And when we get nervous and anxious, right, our mind doesn't think straight. We start forgetting everything. And so you want to be able to avoid those questions at the beginning. So answer the easy ones, come back to the hard ones after you've done all the easy ones on the, if you have 2 exams, the national exam and then the state exam. You have to do them before you complete the exam. You can't go to let's say you're on the national, you can't go to the state and then come back. Once you're done with the national, that's it. Okay. And before you go to the exam, always know where the location is. Get up with time so that you're not rushing. Relax, take deep breaths when you're there before you enter the test room. Okay, ask for guidance. Affirm, I passed, I passed, I passed. Okay, close your eyes and believe that you know all the answers. You're getting an easy test because every test is different. There are hundreds of tests that they use and sometimes take questions from older books. That's why I refer and recommend that you download older books or buy even older exam books. Keep your money for when you join real estate because it's going to be expensive to pay all the fees for joining. Okay, don't cram the night before and study in 20 to 30 minute sessions because as Jim Quick, a gentleman that had a major head injury, he couldn't remember. So he devoted his life to teaching people how to help them to remember, how to study. And he says the mind will remember the beginning and the end of every study session. So he recommends study and take a break every 20 minutes. Take a 3 to 5 minute break. Get up, get a coffee, get water, stretch, whatever you do. And then start again. And your mind refreshes. And again, it'll remember the beginning and the end of every session. When we study for long periods of time, like we do here, okay, in this session, then, you may not remember everything, right? You remember the beginning and the end of every 20-minute session. So go back and review it, okay? Skip through, speed forward through areas where, I'm explaining more or I'm stating other things, that's why you have the scrolling, okay? And speeding it. You can put it in a higher voice speed, okay? In a higher pace. You have the natural listening, you can speed it up 1.5, 1.2, the speed that the video will play, and you can go through it faster. Okay, you don't have to take it at the slow rate. Remember to correct your resolution. If for some reason it looks blurry at your end, it's not my end. If you have to click the resolution on your page to 720 or 1080 so that you can see a clearer picture. Okay, because I have to do that on my computer. So that is computer dependent. So there's usually a little icon at the bottom when you click on the screen where you can adjust your resolution. So remember to study every day. Don't be hard on yourself when you don't pass. Don't punish yourself. Avoid being a perfectionist. Study every day, even if it's for 20 to 30 minutes. and be consistent. Advise your family to provide you support to understand that you are preparing for an exam. This is going to be your business, not a career, not just a career. It is your own business. You're the boss of you, and you will be earning a living. Be patient, give yourself time. I've had students that take it 5 to 10 times and they persist and they eventually pass and become successful realtors. Some of us are poor test takers. I'm one of those. Okay. I used to get so fearful about multiple choice. Some people are awesome at multiple choice questions because they understand the little keywords, the trigger words that will help them answer it correctly or answer it wrong, and use a lot of common sense. You're going to have questions you've never seen before and that you don't remember ever studying. It's making us think, okay? And think of, common sense, scenarios, real life situations. Because why? You're dealing with real life individuals in the process of purchasing or selling a home. They're emotional. You've got to develop a thick skin. Okay, don't take things personal from a seller or a buyer or other realtors. Always respect the other realtors, the clients, all the other parties, title companies, attorneys, inspectors, surveyors, maintenance people, handy people, repair people, anyone that we deal with, respect them. Give them the time of day. Don't allow being disrespected. Don't let people run over you. You're going to set a commission rate that you believe you're worth. Here in Texas, we still, in certain areas, it is still good to get 6%. Some realtors are able to get 7% commission. Okay. In some areas, it's gone down to 4% or 5%. You sell yourself based on what you know and what you deserve. Believe in yourself. Okay. Just take it easy. The fact that you don't pass doesn't mean, oh, it wasn't meant for me. No, that's not it. When you really want something, you go after it. How many years do we go to school? Most of us, 12 years. Okay. Then we go to 4 years to college, then or 5, and then a master's, another 2 to 4 years, and then a PhD. And then we get an internship, right? In order to learn how to do in real life at a company what we studied for all those years. When you fail an exam in college, okay, or school, you retake it, or you fail, right? And you have to repeat. It's okay. It is okay. Let it go. Say next and move on and keep doing it. You're going to learn a lot of things once you get into the business of real estate. Once you become your own boss, once you select a sponsor and you're dealing with clients, you're going to learn from other successful realtors, other realtors that have made it, and share with us. And remember, I am a realtor. Okay. I'm not a broker here in Texas. Okay. I am a realtor. So I am looking for realtors, beginners to join me at eXp Realty. That is who my broker is, my sponsor. We're a cloud-based company. We're a virtual company. Our office is in the cloud. We don't have a brick and mortar office. Because of that, we get to keep more money that they reward us for producing every year our first transaction. We can earn commission. We earn the rewards. We can invest towards a agent equity, which is like a 401k, building a retirement for yourself. Okay. We don't have to pay for coaching. We get coaching from top producing realtors that become icon realtors. When they become icon realtors, that's like selling 33 properties in our area of San Antonio. They get their $16,000 back that we paid to eXp, and we get it back in stocks. Okay, so they get to teach us. We get to learn from realtors throughout the U.S., throughout the world, not just from realtors in our particular office. Now, a cloud-based business, virtual office may not be the solution for you. However, don't think that it's not for beginners. Why? Because we're going to do a lot of business virtually. We're going to have a lot of Zoom calls, a lot of education, a lot of training. There's a lot of on-demand classes that are available. There's so many opportunities. Once you become very good at doing real estate, you can become a mentor, and you will also earn commission I mean, you'll earn fees from the brand new agent that is required to have a mentor for their first 3 transactions. If you've never done real estate, you have a mentor for your first 3 transactions. It does cost a 20%, but after your first 3 transactions, then you're back to 80-20. Once you close 2.66 million at a 3% commission rate, then you're at 100% and you get 100% of your commission, with the exception of having to pay a transaction fee and E&O. All right. Our monthly due is $85 a month. That pays for our eXp World. That's our cloud office, everything that we use. We have access to individuals immediately, well, almost immediately. Okay. Sometimes you just go to the cloud on the eXp World, you get in a line and you talk to a broker, you talk to a transaction coordinator, you talk to accounting, you talk to orientation, to classes, anything like that. So it's really quick access. You don't have to drive anywhere in order to talk to a broker or to talk to another realtor. We do it on the call through the eXp World. It's a real office and we get to meet people from all over the world. And you want to meet realtors from other areas, other states, other cities. We learn from them. We teach each other. Okay. So it is also for beginners. You're not going to be alone. We have an awesome collaboration where we share everything that we know. Why? Why do we want to help others at eXp? Because the more we help you, okay, the more the company grows, the more we get rewarded. Okay, the more we earn in commission, the more commission we get, the more production you do. Okay, so it behooves us to help others to grow. At other companies, I used to have to pay for coaching, $1,000 a month, or, a certain percentage, 5% of each transaction. At eXp, we do not have to do that. So when you're ever ready to start interviewing companies, let me know. I want to share information with you, schedule an appointment with me. Okay. So that we can discuss it. It's a 30-minute appointment or less that we schedule on Calendly, and you can end up having a chat with me. Ask me any questions. I'll send you a video. I'll send you a guest pass to evaluate the eXp World. Okay, it'll be for 2 weeks. It is an awesome company. However, interview different company and find out which one is the best fit for you, that you get education, that you get training, that you get rewarded financially, not just a trophy, okay, or a plaque. Find out, if you want to be an extremely go-getter and have leading technology and be a very entrepreneurial, okay, and be very forward thinking, eXp is a company for you. So I want to talk to you when you are ready to start interviewing, and let's see if eXp is the best fit for you. Okay. So with that said, remember to go to my YouTube channel, let everybody know, tap the subscribe button. Okay. And click that little bell, jingle, 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 so that you are the first to get notified every time I go live or upload a new video. And tap the like button if you're on Facebook or YouTube, and let me know that you found this to be useful. If you want to study just vocabulary, go to the YouTube playlist vocabulary and study all the vocabulary. I have a series from 1 to, we haven't finished, 301 vocabulary. I have an older one from a different book, the book that I normally share. And you're welcome, Mocha. And also the Q&A, okay, playlist. So everything that's happening this year, I put a 2020 in the front. So it is this year's education videos. I will be posting as I go videos about how to get your business going, how to grow, how to get leads, and what a day of real estate is like, and what is the realtor life like. How do you do a lot of things? So if there's anything that you would like me to create a video on, hey, type it in the chat, either on YouTube, on Facebook, AgentPrep Private Broke, or Facebook business page. Okay, Clay, thank you so much. I will check the DM on Facebook, and get with you. All right. Until next time, catch you all later. Stay positive and study. Bye. Thank you.